ready?
I think so, I don't know, it's 5 after 2.
Just
Yes, we
4
do.
of us?
Yep.
Okay. It is 6:04 and I'm calling the Finance Committee meeting of April 2nd, 2026 to order. All right, do we want to?
Any Zoomers on? You don't see?
Just Tamika.
Tamika.
Okay.
So, meeting minutes from March 19th, anyone wanna? I can't vote, I wasn't here.
I make a motion to table the minutes from March 19th until we have a quorum of people that can vote on them.
Second. All right, what do you think, Tommy?
Oh, okay, yes.
All in favor?
Is that what you wanted?
Aye.
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 And I don't have the last week's ready, so. Okay, budget discussion.
Heather, why don't you sit up at the table? Because there's gonna be a lot of discussion tonight, so it'd be easier for you
Can
to
you
be sitting up
reach?
here.
Can you reach with your plug?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Do. I'm just trying to find what I think I need. I probably don't need it, but maybe not.
Thank you for your 10-minute blurb on cable. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome.
Um,
I've had mixed feedback.
I have one question from that. It wasn't clear. We are going to walk out of that town meeting with a budget,
Yes.
correct? We're going to give both out. That hasn't changed. Select Board hasn't changed their mind on how they're going to present it.
No, so the article, did everybody grab one of these?
Yeah,
This is
but
an updated.
I want to
So,
make sure. So
yeah,
at the end
so
of the
the way-
night, we're gonna have the override budget and the cut budget.
The short answer is that when we leave town meeting, we will have a budget.
Yep, see, we agree.
It's revised.
We agree.
And in the cut budget, we are using $830,000 of free cash.
We're down, we're not quite at 800 right now, but we're not at zero either. We're somewhere in the vicinity of about $600,000.
And it's still the intention to cover the unemployment, thank you. We're gonna use stabilization.
Yeah, that,
Is that general stabilization? Is that what you're saying?
Huh?
General stabilization?
Yeah.
And why are we doing that?
because it's the only funding source you have that you can cover $360,000.
How many, what was that?
360.
Oh, 300, okay. 360,000.
That's in the article here. Article, do you want to go through the articles? Because I think some of your questions might be answered through the articles.
Well, I have one more thing. So what happens, the cut budget has a cut to the discretionary fund of the school. Correct? That hasn't changed.
Not anymore, no.
You've made that change.
It was made when we, for the budget that we had last time, it should have been in there. Well, no, I take that back. The select board voted that at their meeting on Monday.
Okay. Could we have a new budget sent to us then? Because it's gonna help us be able to do our, because I've been doing all kinds of analysis and.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the school budget is staying whole at the
That's what the select board voted last week.
We growing money off a tree or?
Well, I and just in case anybody's listening, and this is Carol talking. I had attended a couple of weeks ago a Zoom meeting by Mars, the municipal area, regional association. And my takeaway from that is that there are so many, there's a lot of takeaways, but I think the overarching takeaway for me was towns that pass a full budget or any of the school budget makes it appear to the state that we're not in trouble, that we're not decimating municipal budgets, that we're not going into big we have to go into big proposition 2.5 overrides to sustain the school budgets, and that the better thing to do would be to start not passing at least the full school budget, going in and passing a budget that is all of our required, the minimum local contribution, the debt, and the transportation, I believe, are our requirements. Because otherwise, it seems like we're throwing everybody else under the bus, where the state needs to pay attention. And I think that by getting together and being of like mind and like voice is going to help move that forward. Otherwise, like I say, we're pretending that we're making it work, and we're really not. Something's giving. And if the override fails, and we have that huge school budget, as we've said, our municipal budget is going to be even in worse shape. So that's Carol's own opinion. So there you go.
Where do we make other cuts to cover the cut that we were gonna make this school budget?
That's $500,000.
We didn't. We're up to where the override amount is still $3 million.
No, but on the cut budget,
It's just the so we only reduced that original budget by, I think it was less than 5%. It was like a 3% cut in the original cut budget. It certainly wasn't a significant reduction. That the other adjustments that we've made, property and casualty, the other items that we went through on the memo last week, that's where the adjustment, and again, we've shifted.
All right, so just so I'm clear, and because Ludwig just walked in too. So we're leaving this Wachusett budget at 18,808, no
Correct.
matter what.
Correct. So that is a decision that the select board had on their agenda and met at their meeting last week. Discussed and voted not to tie the school.
so on that memo that we got last week, there was $500 and something thousand savings from the cut budget to cover what we would have.
$425,000 was the difference in the school budgets.
The numbers aren't hardwired into the vote though, right? Into the town meeting warrant.
You will be when we vote on it.
Well, when we
Well,
vote
the
on it,
school- but the school
there's a-
budget will be.
There's a motion that sets the
So-
number, right?
Should, I guess my suggestion is maybe that if we do look at the warrant, those have the dollar amounts in them.
Oh, they do, okay.
Cause the one we got last week shows a cut of 425, and now you're saying that's funded fully.
Correct.
So is the spreadsheet we've got online, has that been changed?
So the budget that I sent you last week, it has been changed to reflect the school, the select board's vote. I didn't resend it. I can't send it to you now because it's locked on my desktop in the office. I just tried to get in. I can view only. I can't send it to you, but I will send it tomorrow.
I'm really scared of what's gonna happen if this override doesn't pass.
I'm trying to figure out how we balance the balanced budget for the 425. That's the piece I'm not getting. What, I haven't had a chance to watch it, I apologize for Monday. Did they vote the health insurance in with the increase of $700 for the FSA?
No, $200.
$200 increase?
Yes, so
Okay.
it's $500.
What do you think speaks
Gotta fall
for
off a
doing
tree
it?
somewhere, gotta get it from a tree.
Shake, it started
Yeah, shake
shaking
it.
the tree.
Somebody found a hole that we
What
buried.
was the general consensus as to why we kept the budget where it is, just for uncertainty's sake? We don't know that it's gonna go down, because we have to submit the,
So we didn't lower the assessment because the school committee has not taken a formal vote to lower the assessment.
and you have to wire the numbers into the warrant.
I guess there was at the school committee meeting on Monday, I guess there was some discussion from the unions that they didn't realize that in their bylaws, there was a 2-week
Yeah.
review
I
process
read your
that
note.
needed to be observed. So they're honoring that. Unfortunately, that 2 weeks puts us past the ballot question deadline that has to be submitted to the town clerk's office. So the understanding is that we'll submit the ballot question for a total override of $3 million for the first year. And then the following 2 amounts are reduced, still about $1 million each, but to get to the 5.1 million, which is what we need, not the 5.4. So those are the ballot questions that were approved by the select board. There was a contingency, and I think that's what I wrote in my email, for the lower amounts, should the school have voted that lower assessment. Since that did not happen, we have to move forward with the higher amount. If the school is able to take that vote and the assessments are lower, we would simply not raise that additional 425. Because everything is tied out in the budget, there wouldn't be a place to raise it. So I know people would be concerned about that, but
If somebody ends up wanting to amend this article on the floor, is that an opening we have? I can't believe I'm saying that, because I
Anybody
was
can,
totally
anyone
dead set
can.
against it.
Anybody can
yeah.
change any one of these
Absolutely.
articles.
Well, so it's interesting, right, because if you read our our notice from the,
Jesse?
the DESI letter is pretty clear, thou shalt not. In this case, we'd be voting for a number that's above the approved school budget, which is still not what DESI says, which is you have to vote the number of the school budget, and then you can make amendments if it fails.
That's what Desi says, but that's not what
No,
our
that's
town
not-
council.
The
That's not
lawyer,
what the
like,
law says.
I know, well, the lawyer's interpretation is less, it says that you can. So now we're in a situation where we may want to lower it to the number that the school actually approved, right?
Okay, so, but you gotta go back on that a step. We have to do the minimum spending. That's, we got no choice with that. It's the discretionary spending that we can do something with.
It's fine.
We
In this
needed to.
case, right, the thing that solves this potential problem, other than the override ballot question, which is a done deal, right? You can still lower the assessment via amendment on the floor, right?
With an amendment, yes.
Yes, okay.
Or we can present it, if the finance committee decides to present it to the town meeting that way, then we can present it, what we think that the voters should be doing. That would be our recommendation.
Yeah, I think that as soon as the article, we would potentially come up with it. I mean, maybe that's a completely fine thing from the select board's point of view also, and this is just what they had to do at this point in time because they can't leave it blank.
But I understand what Heather was saying, but, I mean, we're gonna know those numbers in it. For right now, I understand why that number's there.
Okay.
I mean,
all right,
in
so
another
let's
week
just-
or two, we can adjust it if we have
Yeah,
to.
okay, all right.
Right.
That's probably, okay, let's move on, I guess. That's fine.
So Heather, these new revenue numbers, if there's a cut budget that goes through, these revenues will change.
How so?
Well, with less EMTs, we're not gonna be able to earn as much in our ambulance revenue.
I think that we've budgeted those revenues pretty conservatively.
We
So,
budgeted
can-
them to create free cash.
Can I just ask one quick question, where we're still on the Wachusett thing? We asked questions about the transportation assessment. Did we ever get she says, I think, was it Michelle, was that her lady's name?
Yes.
Said there was something in a report that she put somewhere, that he was gonna send us a copy of that report that explained the reimbursement on the transportation assessment. At least that's the way I understood it. Is that not correct?
I don't, if there's a report that she said, I can certainly ask her for it.
There's some report that she said, I finalized, the end of my report explains the question that I had asked, and we had asked back in November. And, I mean, I don't know where that report is, so I assumed she was gonna send it to us, at least that was my impression, so we could look at it.
Okay.
Maybe it's someplace it's easy to get at, I don't know. Okay, sorry, that's all, I just wanted to ask
Yeah,
that
that's
question.
fine.
Yeah, because we've never seen anything like that.
And I know I don't remember specifically, I'd have to go back in my head to really think about it, but I do remember there was a lot of discussion about transportation.
Right, well, I know that's the question I asked, because I asked it, so.
Yep.
And I have it on my notes here if you want. No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
So I just want to make sure I have my head wrapped around this when asked the question. So our revenues are budgeted for the override budget and for the cut budget the same.
Yes.
yeah,
What I think this is essentially saying is that you're supposed to be conservative with your revenue estimates on the override budget, which is conservative for the override budget, but you're completely pulling out every last penny to maintain that same estimate on the cut budget. You're cutting it
So,
much closer. That's effectively what we're saying.
Yes. I think that your projections, you're taking the $1 million out for the dispatch. And you're still coming in lower than you did originally last year. I have not, you know,
By almost 2 million, so a million, coming in lower by $1 million without that dispatch.
And I get it, but but my thing is, in my opinion, it should be two.
Right.
It should be cut budget revenues and regular budget revenues, because with a regular budget, you're going to be able to meet higher revenue. And all we're doing is
Right.
lower, just creating free cash. And in a budgetary year, in a override year, I don't think we want to be saying, woo-hoo, look at, we made, all this extra in free cash.
But we're supposed to, well, not supposed to, but it's recommended we end up with 7% of free cash?
I think your financial policies is between 3 and, is it 3, I think I read today, 3 and 5, 3 and 5%.
Of the total operating budget, including schools.
Okay, so sticking on the ambulance question about the revenues, what happens with this ambulance intermunicipal agreement that we have with OCAM, is it? When we say, okay, we've only got so many people and we can't get to you as fast as we should.
We won't be entering into any agreement if we don't get the override. There's no way that I could sign a 3-year agreement with anybody without understanding what
Okay.
my
Capabilities are.
abilities are.
Correct.
I think it'd be irresponsible.
No, I understand. You,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
So we're gonna say to OCAM, you gotta go back on your own. We can't cover you.
well, what I'm saying is that we'd have to look at all of our,
No,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But if it,
yeah.
if it.
I'm not gonna say that that's what we're gonna say. What I'm saying is that going forward, looking at any of these intermunicipal agreements and just, the new opportunities that are being looked at.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is, if it gets to that point and we say, this is where we're at for capabilities, we can't handle that. So that
9,000.
29, I was gonna say 27, that's what we did last, 29,000 is gonna be gone. And this Medicare was 77, wait, so you're at 50, so that's about the
So
same.
I'm not saying that we're backing off any existing agreements. What I'm saying is I wouldn't look at any of the new opportunities.
Right,
that-
okay.
Yeah.
But it's an angle that exacerbates the impact of the cuts if we have to honor those commitments and at the same time
Right.
cut our own services, right? So,
Yeah. It would be difficult to say that we're going to be making trips out of town that and not
yeah,
address our own residents' needs.
And the other thing I just wanted to add in there, I know we keep talking about we're missing that money from dispatch, but by the same token, we don't have those expenses in our budget anymore. So really, it's just, we still have our line item for that, which we would have. But the money's coming out of there, but we don't have to cover that with expenses on the other side. So I know you can say that, but to me, that's kind of a wash through.
And I agree with that, unless the expenses go up based on their new budget.
so, yeah. It
in
was
the
not a
bottom line, it
tremendously
should be picked
profitable
up.
enterprise, right?
No, it doesn't sound that way, does it?
But with the new dispatch number, is it, what, a little bit higher than it was last year? I mean, somewhat, I shouldn't say a little bit, somewhat higher? I don't have that number right there in front of me, but.
What number do you want, Tommy?
They're at 693 last year for us, but that's because we paid everything out. Now we're only doing, although I'm sure this just changed 3
378 or something.
382.
I think it
And the
was.
balance was
378,
375.
But that was for the whole dispatch center.
Last year was, that's just, no,
No,
That's our
2027 is
assessment.
just our part.
That's our budget
That's our
assessment.
portion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that stays there, obviously. But it's up a little bit from I'm sorry, what did you say, 375?
375 for cut, 382 for recommended. But I don't know where it is because this is last
Okay.
week's budget, so things have changed.
Okay.
While we're in that little block, what are the drivers for the water indirect charges decreasing by 40,000 from 25 to estimated 27? And then sewer is increased by 25? And safe place is down by 7,000, so I guess I'm wondering what those
So
functions
water,
are.
water sewer,
Thank you.
it might be that we're now sharing, it might be with the shift, no, because that's stormwater. I don't know, I'll have to look into that.
Okay. A little history, if you haven't heard about water sewer, Heather, it's a hot spot.
No.
And not, except for Tommy. He
Tommy has
is
no
all
problem.
about it.
His hotspot is
So,
stormwater.
so not everybody has water, but not everybody that has water, that does have water, has sewer necessarily, as in many other towns. DPW does it all, and we have had constituents that are on water sewer that have asked very probing questions because, I don't know how to say this without but things keep, like you said, you used the word shift, which made me think, oh, not again. So if we're shifting things from water to sewer, or sewer to water, or from water sewer to DPW, that's the kind of stuff that's happened over the last 5 years
So
or
water and
so.
sewer is now only one enterprise.
Right, I was gonna say, water
Correct.
sewer doesn't,
But,
it's water sewer to DPW, like you just said.
correct.
Right,
But if you've got water indirect charges and sewer indirect charges, you may have sewer but not water, you may have water but not sewer. So when people see that shift, if they see a shift in their bill, that's where we're gonna have questions. Do I need to be more clear? Ludwig?
yeah, where are you
So-
reading that?
So there's,
So there's water indirect and there's sewer indirect.
okay.
And it seems,
Oh, okay, I'm
it
sorry.
seems like the bulk of it has
Yep.
shifted from one to the other. And I'm not saying that that's going to result in any changes
Okay.
in a bill. And it's not even necessarily for this conversation, it's a
And it-
heads up.
and it could be a formula issue, it could be a typo. Let me look
Just,
at it.
just a heads up that somebody might be asking.
In general, the sensitivity around water sewer is that should be a completely independent thing.
It is a completely independent thing,
Right, so
It's
why do we show revenues from water sewer?
because,
I'm just
Oh.
playing.
Right.
Devil's
This is-
advocate?
This is what people see, right? So
Well,
the water sewer
maybe-
people are
maybe-
contributing to town revenue
Yeah.
that benefits
Right.
everybody.
yeah, okay.
All right, so I don't think I did a little bit of an analysis about how the DPW is managing that, and I'm very happy with it because anything else would be way less efficient. I think we came to that conclusion. And so this is compared to the overall amount of money that's flowing back and forth and through water and sewer, like this makes perfect sense, and I'm okay with it, but that's where the sensitivity comes from.
Okay,
And again, it was background for you
Okay.
to go forward.
So when it's listed here as water indirect charges and sewer indirect charges, is that for the additional fees that are on the bills? That's not the payment for water
No,
usage or sewer usage.
water sewer indirect would be basically money, if we're sharing personnel between those departments.
If we use the water truck to do something for DPW, it gets charged from the water back to DPW.
Which it should be.
Right, and so that's what indirect charges is.
Where
it's
does that get tracked? Who tracks that? I mean, I'm sure DPW does, but
Yeah. Yes.
that's tracked and put down somewhere?
Yeah.
And recreation safe places, a $7,000 drop, that would be surprising to me. That,
Well, again, these are projected numbers, so we would project lower than as much as possible,
Okay.
wherever possible.
Yeah, it could be, I mean, look at the difference between 24 and 25 too, so it's kind of like a happy medium in safe place.
Yeah, but we gotta understand why.
So this is shown as revenue because the staff, part of it, if not all, part of it is probably the correct, like doing the billing. The staff at DPW does the billing, so those hours that they're.
Yeah.
But I thought that was reflected in, okay, now it is
So
reflected in the
let-
salaries.
I can do a little bit more in Bell.
No, I'm just,
You wanted to know where the, 3,750,000 came from. We filled them in the best of our abilities to get, to show that. That was a number that came,
Oh.
that came over, from town hall proper, and we worked to buy those back for the sake of wanting to satisfy the,
okay, but I'm just trying to, like you just said, I'm trying to get my head around it, so if somebody asks the question. So these numbers are the charges that go against the water sewer revenues that pay for what the other side, on the town side, that shows in the revenue for our budget that way,
correct.
to pay for those services or usage of the, okay. Okay, so another favorite of mine that I want to ask, because I see it here now on my thumb, is how come cable indirect charges there is no estimate for our revenue from them?
Because we wouldn't use that money as a revenue source. That's simply accrued in that account, and then we use it for the direct costs. So that 100, what we're taking in,
But my understanding, okay,
so if you look down here, there's the
down here, where are we
transfers.
looking?
I'm trying to find it. There's the transfer in line. So it's accounted for. Let me find it on the main document. It's accounted for as a cable access, yeah. So if you look at the bottom of the page, on the back side,
Backside,
cable access, all the way down the bottom.
okay,
There's your cable money. next year, we're expecting $141,220.
There really, I would
Okay,
assume,
but that number, it says transfer in, that's to offset whatever this
Yeah, 100 and-
budget said in here, which I
100
want
and-
to talk about, well, I want to talk about that tonight too. because-
$129,220.
That's what's in this, was in this pile of numbers?
Yeah, and it's also what's in the warrant.
Okay, so why would, if that's 129, why would we have 141 here as
Because that's what we're expecting for revenue.
correct? But the revenue over and above what we're gonna have in the budget should be going into their PEG access account.
It does.
Okay,
Carol, I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
does cable incur anything other than salary? Should they have benefits? I don't know how many hours anybody works.
And there are no benefited employees for cable right now.
Is that because they're not eligible, or is that just because they don't decide to take it?
Because they're not eligible.
Thank you.
We've asked them all to stay under the 20 hours
Perfect.
for that reason.
okay, so I hate to be a pest, but I'm gonna ask another question. Because now the balance down here says, in this, where this number is that I just asked about, it says, it becomes part of free cash, which that part would not become part of free cash.
It would not become part of free cash, no.
But is it in that bottom number? I'm just assuming that this column gets totaled down to the bottom.
Yes. And I don't know why it says becomes part of free cash, because that, I don't know why that line, why those words
Okay.
are there. I've actually never noticed that. So good eyes, but no, that is, none of this is expected to become part of free cash.
Okay.
And the new budget that you have on your desk, you have the increase in the FSA budgeted.
Yes.
Okay.
And what about the, potential 35,000 in bonuses to the,
DPW.
is that in the budget as well?
That's in snow and ice.
You added it to snow and ice?
No, it's included in snow and ice. It was included in the original budget.
We were told yet last week it wasn't.
Well, when we asked why we were looking to make the increases, I said we have to consider that in addition to regular expenses going up, we would also have that potential liability, I believe is what I said.
And it would be in the debt, and it would end up in the,
Deficit spending.
spending.
Deficit
You
spending, so
did
it's,
say- You did say that.
but it's not budgeted, so it's
Well,
gonna hit that
But-
line and
but
we'll
we're-
go deficit
we're
spending.
asking to increase snow and ice for all those reasons, right? Expenses are going up. We know we have this other liability, potential liability.
Snow and ice. Just as a point, we talked about the 280 last week on the snow and ice line for supplies, I guess is where the biggest is. I would ask us to reconsider that again, because through March, and I am assuming that not all March bills were paid yet, but we're only at 251 for snow and ice line this year with all of the storms we had.
He said,
If you look at the warrant, and again, happy to go through the warrant because it has the numbers in it. We are, as of April 2nd, we are deficit spent by $184,000.
yawn.
Yeah, deficit spent
Yeah. Yep. So that means as of April 1st, it was, the budget this year was 200,000? Snow and ice line
Snow
items.
and ice, yes, 200,000.
So it's 380. So we're still under by
Well,
100.
Just looking at that one line,
Two,
so-
two, 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 200 was only the supply line, so it's, the 184 is, it would include
The other stuff.
your,
so
your,
spending lines.
your salaries, your purchase services,
Yeah.
your maintenance,
Okay.
fuel.
Can never go down. And if anyone thinks that this is all gonna be fixed in another 3 years, if everything passes, we're never gonna be able to go down on that number. I think we went up way too much on it. We might need it, but that's the only line legally we're allowed to deficit spend.
So what did we wanna look at on the warrant, because it has to apply to the budget? I don't think we can talk about anything that's not a budget line item, so I don't know what we could talk about. Cause
No,
everything's,
say it again.
the warrant, we can only talk about budget things. I don't think, unless free cash is directly,
What
Part of the
doesn't
budget.
relate to the budget? Everything we talk about relates to the budget.
Free cash isn't budget, that's separate and apart.
Well, it's been definitely part of the budgeting process. How's that?
Everything we
Still
talk
is.
about relates
I
to the
just-
budget.
Well, you know, now with this new culture within
I don't
town, we have
think
to be
that's a
very
problem
cautious.
myself.
So
Because it's not
Tamika,
on
could
the
we make
agenda.
sure that every future, agenda going forward has, warrant discussion on it, please?
Did we not? Oh, we said
charter.
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 And we did say bylaw, and that wasn't on here
Any
either.
other budget related, this isn't related to the budget, the whole warrant? Of course it is.
All right,
I
anyway,
don't-
what is
I don't
it that
understand.
we can,
I'm just not willing to put my neck out again and
Well,
be
I don't
told
think you
that
have
we
to.
shouldn't be.
I don't think you have to worry about it myself, but that's my 2 cents.
So when the agenda goes out, I think that if there's things that are not on the agenda that you're anticipating, please let us know. And we can amend that agenda. It is your agenda, it's why it gets sent so that you're aware and I, you know.
I know last week we did mention bylaw discussion, and that's not on here. I know that was mentioned last week.
I don't remember bylaw, I do remember charter.
We had charter and then we also said
I-
bylaw.
that's right.
We said
Those
both,
are-
because
those are
there
the
is that,
two-
that other underground,
Those are the two tie-ins.
yep.
So that is, charter is on there. Is
Mm-hmm.
charter on the warrant?
Yes,
Yes.
Charter is on the warrant.
it was the last,
So
and
you're
this has
saying that
changed,
if
but it was the
we've
last
had
warrant
something that's
article.
been in public session, and we have a record of it, but we've talked about in the past meeting, that we need to go back, as we're doing this budget going towards town meeting, that we can't talk about it unless it's specific, some kind of work, talk about the budget. I mean,
So what is it that we think is not contained within the discussion on budget?
I don't.
Free cash would definitely
When
still
I,
be
when
part
I,
of the
look-
budget.
when I think the budget, I think of the budget that's on
Right.
these.
Yes.
Free cash,
Not the land
Is
grab
not-
for getting
That's
free
Right,
lunches.
it's saying right here, free cash, right here on that sheet, it talks about free cash, because that's how fiscal year 26 was funded. So we're perfectly fine to talk about free cash, please.
It's part of the budget.
Yes.
You don't get to the end of the budget without the free cash or the revenue over here.
And you budget to
I'm just saying.
No, I-
You budget your revenues cautiously so that you have you generate a certain amount of free cash. It's 100% budget related.
And if somebody tells us otherwise, then
I mean, that's.
I agree with you.
That's silliness. So what did you want to ask about?
no, we wanna go through the budget, the warrant. And I wanted to make sure that you were allowed to talk about everything on the warrant,
Not,
which
well,
is,
so
town meeting.
possibly not everything, but most of it, because most of it's budget related.
Heather, do you have a balance for free cash?
I had asked for that. I think it's just a little over $1 million. Kate was gonna get that for me today.
Okay.
She,
Through town meeting in November, it was $1,35,160.
okay.
So,
We haven't used any since November.
and we can't,
so-
right, because
yeah,
that has to be
that's
spent at, so
town
I
meeting,
think that
yeah.
that's probably safe.
So 1,035,000 is what you said?
1,035,000, yes.
Perfect.
And that was after we spent money at
Yes.
November?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that money continue to stay until more free cash adds to it, or we spend
No.
it, or it
So,
just
no,
stays there?
it, June 30th, it will, I guess,
Need to be recertified.
yeah, it'll be recertified. It rolls back to the state for recertification based on what, and we would get that number in September.
But it's not use it or lose it, it's,
Yeah,
Well, I didn't know
it's
if we
part of-
had to
yeah,
do
part of-
something, like we had to put it in a rainy day fund eventually, we can't just keep it.
No, it stays, June 30th, it doesn't go anywhere, it just gets stopped. You can't do anything with it June 30th.
Until it gets recertified.
Until it gets recertified in September or October, or
So
whenever they
there's
can do
Kind
it.
of a dead zone there, we have to be
Correct.
careful.
And then we can go, but you gotta go to town meeting and to
Oh,
use
yeah,
it.
that's
Right.
not, you know,
Right.
it should be, right, that is.
No,
that
no,
is,
yeah, absolutely, I'm just trying to explain it, so.
No, that's good, thank you.
What article were we just looking at that you were talking about? Which one were you talking about? What number? I don't
I
either.
don't know what we were talking about, the
got
article
lost.
yet, I don't
No,
know.
I
I
think it was
got
just a
lost.
question about free cash. So based on that 1,035,000 number, if I did my math right, not based on this, what we got tonight, unless the numbers have changed, we're actually spending more than $1 million. And the articles, requests for free cash. There's not enough money in free cash to cover everything. Unless I looked at it wrong.
there'll have to be reductions, for sure.
But speaking of, I guess, of free cash and warrant articles, and there's nothing that we could do with that at this point, but I believe that the select board were going to look at some of the old warrant articles that
Yeah.
have,
Article
Why don't-
18,
On this one, it's
okay, is there an amount that
Yeah.
yet?
$78,094.52.
but it's going to this capital stabilization.
And then, 94,000 is going
that's-
to water and sewer.
that's the recommendation.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's where it ends up, you know, that's,
That's good to see.
And I'm sorry, what are we on now?
We're just kind of all over the place. Yep.
Okay, so
sure are.
Well, we don't have
we have,
we can look at.
I want to come back to cable for a minute, but I also want to ask this question, because in this pile of numbers, and unless I messed it up, I don't see the second sheet. I haven't found it yet.
What do you, I'm
I'm
sorry.
looking at capital improvement program request summary, years 27 to 32. Now, is there more than one page? Because I only have one page, number one, that's my one question. Number two, because these refer to a whole bunch of source of funds with all these numbers here. There's gotta be an explanation of what these numbers say. And number three, there was somewhere, it was said, or I think it's in the Bible, we're supposed to get a recommendation from
Yeah.
the Capital Improvement Committee of
They
their recommendations for this.
They sent that to the select board and met with the select board last week.
Okay, but we're supposed to see that, right?
We were supposed to meet with them too.
No, the
We don't
the
need to
bylaws
know
say that.
that. We just rubber stamp whatever they tell us. Don't worry about it.
It's
I
so frustrating.
whether we're supposed to meet with them or not. I mean, sometimes you can't make it to everything.
No, we,
So we're supposed to get a report to the finance committee about that.
That's in
Okay.
the bylaw, right?
No, I'm just saying, I'm
I
not
mean-
saying you didn't do it, I'm just saying, I'm asking about where it is, that's all.
I'll say this as a summary, right? There's been 2 super pivotal votes and decisions made by select board in the last week that we had no input on. None.
And that we did not get told about until somebody
Just
from
that-
here
I'm
asked.
just, you know, like for all the joint meetings we had and everything else, when it came down to brass tacks and making the decision, there wasn't an effort to set up a joint meeting on Monday to have us join in and talk about those things. It's just like the vote took place, this is what it is. And now it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, we're supposed to be advisory, but how can we
I'm-
advise
I
if we're
just,
not notified
I
of
don't wanna beat
anything?
a dead horse, but like, we were
Right.
doing so well. We were doing so
Right.
well,
Right.
okay?
we have appearance.
I do have one question, Heather. At the end of your 10-minute thing, the questions for the finance committee are going to Tamika. Is there a reason why those aren't going to Darren?
She's your admin. They would certainly get compiled by staff and forwarded to the board. No? I guess we just looked at it that you're, just like any other administrative responsibility, it's been managed through Tamika as your clerical support. I guess we didn't think of it as something that, you know, certainly any information or questions that come in would be communicated to you as a result of it being something that's being asked of the finance committee. It's just to streamline the process. I mean, we're happy to give out Darren's cell phone number. I guess we'll just make sure that he knows
Not
that we're
through
gonna
his
do
cell,
that.
no, I didn't say cell phone number.
But I mean,
I'm saying
guess-
his email address, and then that could have been funneled to him. I'm asking the question because we go through him if we have questions. And I thought it was very odd that it was just, okay, it's gonna go through the front office instead of coming through.
There was no attempt to disregard the finance committee. I think we just simply looked at it as this is a administrative function to receive and compile those questions and forward on to the finance committee. But if we got that wrong, if we misunderstood or misinterpreted,
You're saying the free cash numbers are very high? I don't see that. What are the major free cash expenditure articles?
so the big unknown is gonna be that snow and ice,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
That's gonna take a chunk, and I think that's gonna drive what else we can use free cash for, if anything. I was very conservative in the capital recommendations, only using free cash to balance the pool project and the carpeting here. But I think that both of those are still sort of questionable whether or not they can be funded through free cash.
So that was my question, that's a question I had when I was looking at it, so they're asking, we're looking for 125,000, was it? For
Yeah.
the pool, out
Yeah.
of free cash? Am I misremembering? Last year, Recreation came to us and talked to us about needing a new pool liner. And then they had it looked at and they were told it really wasn't as bad initially as they thought. So why would we want to do anything in a year where we're so poor?
I just forwarded the CIPC recommendations. So you have those if you, that was a project that was reviewed and recommended.
You are remembering correct, because she asked for an increase of like 200,000 or 100 and something thousand to her revolving fund. and then it came in at like, this.
Right?
Again, they were told it didn't it wasn't
It wasn't as bad as it
we
was, it's
thought.
easy to
So
fix.
why all of
Yeah.
a sudden, when we
Right.
have no money, this is not the year to do that?
And we voted to approve that increase.
We did vote, and then when it came in, it was significantly
was-
different.
It was very small.
It was very much different than what we had been.
Okay, so I'm not losing my mind over
Nope.
that. Okay.
Yeah. And I have shifted some of the burden back onto the revolving. The original request was only for 50,000 to come from the revolving, and I've shifted that to 75.
So another part of that, when I was looking at the original, I haven't looked at the updated one, but I also remember Safe Place saying that they had a significant amount of money and I believe the comment went something like, I wish we had some place to spend it. Is there any way, rather than coming from the town through free cash, could it be transferred from Safe Place to Recreation? If they agreed, I'm not saying it has to be, it would definitely be between the two of them, or gifted from one to the other.
Those would be questions for those directors, I mean.
So, am I,
Okay, so the question I get is this, does anybody have this
Well,
capital
we
expense
just got
report?
it.
It's, you mean the capital one?
Yeah.
It's in the budget document, right? I'm not on tab
The-
here.
I remember seeing something, but
Yes.
in
there's so many emails flying around.
In Article 17, we're spending capital money, yes?
Yeah.
What is the funding source for that article?
Which one, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Vivian.
So the
Article
funding,
17.
the funding sources are in the graph, proposed funding source. So the borrowing,
It's right here,
looking to borrow
Oh, okay, got it.
to,
not to worry.
to pay for the front end loader and the bidirectional amplifier. Looking to take from capital stabilization.
No,
Yeah.
I'm.
Yeah.
It's only a column heading, Ludwig.
It's okay.
And when I looked at this, well, we didn't have this until we walked into the door tonight, so I was looking at the prior draft we got sent.
Oh, I knew I saw
It was
that.
almost $900,000.
I just wanna
Yeah,
say
not with everything, so-
that I know that it's understood that you would love this information sooner. I'm doing really the very best that I can to get it to you as quickly as possible, and to do so in a responsible way, right? I could forward this stuff to you every day, but then
It changes.
it's absolutely changing. The school, getting that call on Tuesday, absolutely turned things into a bit of a tailspin. And then getting hacked and having absolutely no access to the computers for an entire day also created some havoc. So I understand.
Do we have insurance for that?
Yes, we have cyber. That's one of the, are you being sarcastic?
Well,
Because-
it's not a budget-related question, that's why I'm smiling, so we can't talk about it
No,
anymore,
but
but I'm glad the answer is yes.
It absolutely is a budget question, because when we were talking about why our insurance was so high, and we said that it's because we're now required to carry cybersecurity insurance, and also when we talked about
Poetic.
why our IT budget has skyrocketed, it's because to meet the cybersecurity requirements, the IT on the IT end, we're paying approximately $62,000 just for the cybersecurity portion of our IT.
Okay.
So it's absolutely budget,
Getting rooked.
That seems awful high.
We are getting rooked.
except for the fact that when you had a literal, how many towns were affected? 19 towns were hacked,
Oh, wow.
and
Is it all through Civic Plus?
no, it was not through Civic Plus at all. It was through the remote access point. So when we had like
Remote
a
access,
VPN,
whoa.
the VPN,
Remote, the VPN.
the
So that
VPN.
means the IT people didn't
Didn't
lock
do
it
it.
down appropriately.
Well, there definitely was an exposure, but the system, the protection system worked as we anticipated that it would work. at 4 o'clock in the morning, everything started shutting down. Every point of access in the priority list that we've established went right down. So yes, there was, but so were 19 other towns, so.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of jaded because I hear about, there's 273 towns in the state, they're in hold harmless and all this. I don't really care because that doesn't affect my taxes. This does.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is that you get what you pay for, and the system that we have worked. We didn't lose any data, we weren't, none of our,
But we shut down
banks-
town buildings at what, 11:30?
well, we shut down the town hall at noon, yes.
Okay.
Because they could all go home and actually work because they had internet. So they were able to, by dismissing them and letting them go to their houses, they could all actually keep working, as opposed to staying here and, basically wandering around.
Twiddling their thumbs.
Right, so the decision to close the building kept people productive.
So they didn't, but when I worked from home remotely, it was through VPN, so I'm not,
So they couldn't use the splash top, so they could only do cloud, but much of our programs are
Based.
cloud-based as opposed to needing the VPN.
okay.
So there were certainly functions that they could not do, but the functions that were cloud-based, they actually could, and so, believe me, I didn't give everybody the day off. It was a strategic decision that why are we sitting in a building with no internet, driving ourselves crazy? So, but the annex stayed open. We were here all day. Certainly, public safety was here all day.
I hope so.
Yeah,
They're there every day, regardless.
all day, every
No
day.
days, whatever, they're there.
I know, I want to come back to this Article 17 we were just talking about. Are we going to go through this warrant article by article so we can ask
Well,
questions?
You've got a meeting coming up with the select board, right? To go into, look at the warrant, to take together. I wanted
I thought
you
it
to
was going to be
see,
on Zoom or something.
Monday.
That's
yeah,
Monday.
but that's not for the warrant. Don't you have a special meeting just to go through the warrant?
Well, I think so, you're right, actually, it's the 14th or some number like that.
I don't,
It's good if we went through it ourselves.
Yeah, well, I guess
Because I
that-
also think we
that's
need
why-
to, in my humble opinion, I think we need to spend a little bit more time looking at the budget and seeing if we think it's fiscally responsible, which I don't think we've
absolutely.
done.
I agree with you 100%. But anyways, I wanted to just go, well,
regardless of what the
can we
select
go
board is
through these
saying.
You're
quickly?
talking about the changes from the initial to the final, right?
Or just in general. We really haven't discussed,
Department by department.
we talked to Rosie,
Right,
we talked to Rosie's
we
story.
listened.
And then we really didn't discuss why was this cut versus why was this cut, why was this cut versus why is this cut. We really haven't done that. We got a piece of paper that said, here are the cuts, here's what's gonna happen, but we really haven't had a chance to sit down and discuss it. Meeting
talking
with
about the-
departments, we only talked about the rose-colored glasses one.
All right.
Okay, so can we go back, I'd like to go through them myself, but can we go back to 17 just for a moment? Because I had a question of, you were asking a minute ago, so I know I read this somewhere else, but I see it right here also. So $100,000 to fix, is that to fix the pool lining?
So if you look,
Resurface and retile pool deck, repair concrete
Yeah.
pool deck.
Yeah.
So that's gonna come out of raise and appropriate, no, free cash, excuse me, but
so the recommendation from CIPC was to take 50,000 from the revolving and 125 from free cash. I've adjusted that and asked that more come from the revolving fund and a little less from free cash.
so.
However, this is a draft, right? So
No, I understand.
I think it's important that we, these are the recommendations from CIPC.
Yep, I understand what you're saying, okay.
But yes, that is to do the concrete around the pool,
Yep.
to do the tile and the liner.
So what's in recreation's revolving fund? in that
Balance-wise.
balance in their fund right now? Do we know? I mean, we must know, but I don't mean it that way.
It should be here.
Is that what we got earlier today?
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't print that. Look at it. I appreciate that we're getting that every 2 weeks though.
All the, yeah,
I'm not getting
I
it
saw
every
it
2
today.
weeks.
Or I got it to, I
got it
think it's
today-
every two,
today,
I think
but
it's
I-
every 2 weeks. It's pretty regular when we get it.
I guess I must be getting this.
Am I missing it? I see water and sewer, stormwater.
It's not on there.
It's not on this one? Okay. I thought you were supposed to get them all, but
Well, there's no revolving funds on there.
the
'Cause those are
enterprise,
separate.
the enterprise, so.
Yeah, right, so again, because a revolving, any report that you get is gonna be the snapshot in history. They're at 206 in their budget.
Wait a minute, in 206 in their revolving fund,
Correct.
206,000.
Yes. Again, snapshot in time. I don't know what they have, what they have out, what they're
Those are
anticipating.
deposits or anything,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I know they start getting, I wanna say February, they started doing summer fun, I think. So probably that's a lot of the camp.
Right, but those would be those need to be put aside for summer,
Right,
summer.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's probably higher, but
Well, I'm thinking the same thing like Lynn said. I mean, I don't understand
why it
what we
changed?
went through before, and now we get to this point, and now we recommend doing this when we don't. And I personally, I don't think that should come from free cash. It should come from the numbers they got. So that's what they've been doing right along, keeping everything going just fine.
So if a revolving fund is looking for free cash for an expense that high, do they go through CIPC?
Mhm.
And they
It-
did
it
recommend it? or
It's in
did
their
they?
recommendation,
They
yes.
did.
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but see, I don't have that second page. That's what I don't have.
No, it's on,
Tommy,
it's in the article.
it wouldn't be in that budget document, Tommy. That's just all of the things that came in. The CIPC recommendation is in your
That's this one.
inbox.
So it, so
No.
she
Okay.
requested
It's in the- it's
No,
in
I'm
the-
just saying, that's the one that I don't have the second page to.
in that request.
Right, I
Came
don't
out
know what
somewhere.
second page.
And I guess I
but-
wanna
but
understand why
That
they weren't
summary would
able
have been
to
before CIPC did their recommendation.
potentially
Right, okay.
rating
Yeah.
the windows at the community
Well,
center.
like I said, we don't have, I haven't seen that report, which I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's in your inbox. I will
Well,
print it for you.
That's why I'm like,
I
we
have it
gotta
on my
fix some of
phone.
this infrastructure before
No,
we
we're not in
replace
your
the-
phone.
the
Well,
roads.
do you look
Well,
at
my
yeah.
Emails.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in the email.
yeah, I just forwarded it. I didn't realize that you didn't receive it.
No, it may be there, but like I
No, I
said,
don't
there's so
think-
No,
many,
it,
No,
you
I
never got it.
hadn't
We
seen
never got
We
it.
got it, thank you
Yeah.
for sending that,
Yeah.
Heather.
and I know I'm just repeating myself, but if I can get it printed out,
I
I'd
know,
love
I
it.
know, I will. I get,
I think we need to plant a whole forest of money trees.
I think, bake sales are also very, very
But then they
profitable.
got-
They're very
you gotta-
lucrative.
They are,
In my experience, they are more lucrative.
than money
Candy,
trees.
candy bars?
They are,
Then you get a problem with food allergies.
No.
then we
Then
just
they make
won't,
donations.
we won't do that.
Right, you wanna do the articles, or what else do we have on the agenda here?
Okay,
I think-
well, I have a budget question before we go to the articles, if we can. And it has to do with cable access. Way back,
Surprise,
Water and sewer and cable, those are his hot buttons,
surprise,
well, we
surprise.
got
and
these,
has been.
we finally got these, this information, which is, again, some parts of it, obviously, if you sit down and spend hours just trying to get, I know other people work with this daily, so they know it, but my question is, when we did this original sheet, it's asking for, about 27 requests, was 129, 220.
Yeah,
the TA recommended the same, but the balanced budget is 114. If I remember correctly, part of that number was gonna be out of raise and appropriate? Was
No.
that correct?
No, we're not, there is no raise and appropriate for
Okay,
cable access.
that's, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And when you look at the article, you'll see that it is strictly a transfer from.
Okay, I just,
Yeah.
I remember hearing those words back then, but I just wanted to make sure.
No.
Okay,
No,
that makes me happy.
Really? All right.
I'd like to see their budget in detail to see what it is, but I don't remember seeing, I know you've got the line items here, but I would like to see what the,
so their line items are salary.
yep, no, no,
They have, we have signed under purchase services, the expectation is that they will use that for the new service agreement that we signed that creates a monthly fee of $1,000 that is all encompassing. As you could see, when we, from the FY24, FY25, some years we're paying that unique $30,000. So this is meant to put a cap on those purchase services. And other than that, it's really the Zoom costs and any other contracts that we have to provide.
But we ended up saving some money on the Zoom, and that's
Yep.
reflected in here?
Yep.
Did, Rose was gonna look into using Teams, because that's already included in our,
Yeah, she came back with a favorable recommendation to switch to Teams. We are looking at it that once, we'd like to, we asked her to go back and look at a bigger switch of how meetings would be scheduled, how we could incorporate Teams. We didn't, thought maybe closer towards the fiscal year, we could look at rolling out a new, we've got a policy for PEG for recording, how boards and committees will interact with Teams versus Zoom. So we're trying to put together something that would be all-inclusive, including the new recording policy.
and in the process of writing those policies, can we write a policy, or can you write a policy that although we front load your vacation time, you accrue it by payroll period? So if somebody leaves July 2nd, we're not giving them the 4 weeks vacation, or the 6 weeks of vacation, or the 12 weeks vacation?
Nobody's got 12 weeks of vacation.
Somebody's got 5.
we
at least
need
5
to
or
make
6.
that, we talked about that.
I mean, that to me is a fiscal responsibility policy,
I agree.
because that is just money that's,
Yeah. So,
it's expensive.
yeah.
Didn't we vote on that last meeting to ask, to do an email to make that recommendation?
I know we discussed that.
So I think that what we should look at is, in West Boylston, the way that we had just changed it was that, yes, you got the front loaded, so that if you were an employee who had every intention of being there for the full fiscal year, you could take your vacation as you wanted to. However, if you were somebody who got your vacation front loaded and then you decided to leave in August, there is in the personnel policy, there is a accrual of how you get that buyout. So that is something that they put into their actual bylaw, and it went to town meeting and was approved. I don't know that you have, I'll have
But
to
that could
look.
be a personnel policy.
Well, yeah. Policy bylaw, I absolutely will look at it, but what I'm saying is that there's a way of doing it. Definitely not anything that I'm gonna, speak to how I'm gonna commit to that right this minute, because we have other issues that are more immediate and in front of us. But I'm aware that that is a concern, and I think that there is a way to do it.
Okay, but if we have some folks who, God forbid the worst thing happens and they leave, that's not accounted for in our cut budget either.
But if it's.
Or our balanced budget for that matter.
Okay, but look at it this way, so if the budget, if the override doesn't pass and heaven forbid we have to terminate people, that's gonna take place prior to 7/1, correct?
Yep.
So they won't have been front-loaded as of 7/1, so that becomes a non-issue.
I'm not worried about those that are on, I'm thinking those who are going to stay, who now are gonna say, I don't want to stay anymore.
That's a good point.
Because
Yeah.
if it's
So,
the cut
what-
budget, you're gonna be looking at detrimental working.
Let's keep this again for the
After the budget.
after the budget, because, and I don't know how to parking lot things and make sure that it ends up on an agenda. That's not, I'm not
I'm just-
savvy enough to
it'll-
make sure.
I think we discussed it in the meeting last week, so it'll be in those minutes.
So I
Wanna
just,
finish
you
it?
know, I'd like it, like,
We gotta remember.
put it on
that's what
my
we gotta do.
Google
Yeah,
Calendar or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a list of my stuff that's down there.
It's only because it could come back to bite us next year, God forbid.
Yeah.
So some of the outstanding questions that we have for town council is with Article 3, Article 3, and I guess it really just affects Article 3, that if there are, because you vote those salaries outside of your operating budget, which is how everybody does it. It's not different than any other community. But I need the language, we're gonna need the language in that article that ties that to the override, right? Because
those
we
are-
know that some of
those are
those
gonna change.
salaries
Yeah.
will either go away or be reduced.
Yeah, we've had that in the past, so we should be able to go back, because I know we've done that in the past. It'll be this if the override passes, and it'll be this if it doesn't.
Yep. So for the elected salaries, that's where we are, Article.
Wait, are we gonna go through these articles now?
Let's do
start with
that,
one and
because
let's
I
go-
think we need to get on.
Article 1 and
Article one is that report. Did we get our report in? That's my question. Do we know? We did? Okay. Okay. It's okay, then 2. Didn't we vote some money last fall for pump repairs somewhere?
You did.
So this
was-
is in new ones?
This was this is, I was hoping we'd be able to use the money that you appropriated for pump repairs, but this is a different failure.
Okay.
So,
Same spot.
Don't get me
different
started on pump stations.
no.
Well, there's plenty of money
It's
in
your
that,
hotspot.
in
Yeah,
that,
no,
plenty of money in that account, so they can do.
quite honestly, we worked this as far, I worked it as far as I possibly could legally. The powers that be acknowledged that the issue with this particular failure was not connected to the pump that you voted money to replace.
Okay.
So I could not use it. That would have been my preference. So,
Trying.
yeah, oh, I absolutely,
Thank
I
you.
absolutely did. That money has been committed, though, the pump has been ordered, so,
Is it a super duper pump that will never fail?
there's no such thing, unfortunately. But,
Yeah,
so
engineer's
so
recommendation.
what we've asked town, the engineers to do is, as they have been responding to this issue, they have been tracking those costs separately, and we're obviously withholding payment for that issue until we have an appropriation, but they're tracking it separately, and we're collecting those invoices so that we'll have a number for that soon.
So I guess my question is, it seems to be that particular pump station on that particular road. So is there any way to tie that to that organization on that road?
There are conversations that have been happening before me, and there are, I believe, right now, the correspondence, the proposed correspondence is with council. It was drafted by the engineers, it's with council, they've gone back and forth on some points. But yes, it is acknowledged and we'll try to address it.
So we're doing these repairs. If, God forbid, it gets voted down, what are we gonna do? Not that I think it's gonna get voted down, but what happens, stranger things have happened.
Yeah,
We don't have an appropriation, we can't make the payment.
right?
Article 3,
Those are your elected officials. Those are the salaries that they are paid. Should the override fail, the only salary that would move forward would be the town clerk salary, and that would be at a reduced, I believe it's something like 70,000 is what the reduced hours work itself out to.
Right, but this last year, I know you weren't here, but there was a lot of hubbub about these numbers last year. And they were in, then they were out, then they were back in November and they were out. So now they're back in to pay people. We didn't pay these, not town clerk got paid.
The stipends is what you're
The
talking
The
about.
stipends
yeah.
didn't get paid last year,
Okay,
so they're back in.
they are back.
And the selectmen Laurie voted on this?
They voted the budget that has these stipends in
Okay,
it, yeah.
all right, thank you.
I think that in the November meeting, didn't we have an article to reinstate those?
Yep.
Okay. Article 4,
4. Oh, that's that's the budget we just talked
I'm
about, okay.
gonna back up for a minute, because I'm
Sure.
nervous about this, especially if you say the town clerk would be then budgeted at, if town meeting says, yeah, I want the town clerk to get $88,343
Mhm.
how can she not come back and say, that's what was voted in? There's no language in this
well,
article.
that's
said
what
it's going to
they're
town council.
going back to
We're gonna
fix
go
that.
back and fix those.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd asked town council.
sorry, I'm-
No, it's okay,
Trying to do 15 things because I'm
You're multitasking.
not doing it well.
no.
I'm sorry to.
I'm absolutely acknowledging that the way this article is written does not have that ability for us to claw those salaries back and reduce the town clerk. So that's on my list for town council.
Sorry.
But,
So what will that cut her down to for hour-wise? I don't see that
It
on,
was in the budget, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't see it.
if you go
I
to the
see-
master, she is reduced.
Town clerk assistant was reduced to 34 hours.
No, I thought I saw her too.
Yeah, she's at 30.
32 hours.
Yeah, she's at
Where?
32 in
I
the
see that. I don't see it, so I'm. missing.
position line 55 and 56.
Revised. Are you looking at the revised underlined finance?
Yeah,
Yeah, line 55 on the master,
master.
32 hours per week.
Okay.
And that would be 70,404.
yep. I get the number, I just didn't know.
I don't know what you're looking at. Okay, so my question is, you're saying this number would be reduced if the override fails?
To 70,404.
404.
So that would be the same for the other department heads also?
No,
No.
that position is being reduced. The hours for that employee would be reduced.
The other ones can't be if they're contracted. So if they've signed a
There are some
contract-
department heads that are being reduced, not all of them.
And it's because this article, Tommy, is just the elected officials. That's all this is elected officials.
So when we have a town clerk, once Anita
Once
retires,
then she'll be part of 4.
And assume I'd have a contract then, I assume.
no.
No.
There's no provision for a town clerk to have a contract.
But all the other ones can have them.
No.
Not everybody.
No.
Well,
No,
I guess I'm
Mass-
equating that position to be as important as all the other ones.
Oh,
but-
it absolutely is. It's just, at this particular moment in time, until the position is still, the department head for that position is still a elected official, so therefore their salary has to be voted in Article 3.
No, I
right, yeah.
understand that.
So, but we're treating that department head position the same as we are the other non-contracted
Yep,
department
I-
heads,
well, I
and
guess
reducing it
that's
to
what I'm getting
32 hours.
Okay,
So they're all important. There isn't anybody that works here that isn't very important.
I
It's
didn't
just,
say that at all.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Article 4, that is all the other expenses except for schools, PEG, and your elected officials.
Okay. What we've been talking
Making it
about.
obviously contingent upon an override.
You have raised it, lowered that from 3.1 million to 3 million.
Should this motion fail, well, there'll be a second motion ready to go with that balanced budget that would be moved so that we, to Karen's point, this, when we first got started, there's a second motion with the lower,
If it passes on the town floor, but fails at the ballot,
the way this is worded, everything is approved except for the $3 million. The way this is worded. So
That's the
when
part
you-
that you were working on to
Yeah,
make sure that
so,
that's.
so when, if it fails at the ballot, you have passed a budget, but you have not passed the $3 million to fund the entire budget. So you only have the amount that is left.
Right, but that's what it says here.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So the budget
if the override fails, we're taking the money strictly out of here, nothing out of the school.
Correct.
I'm just asking the question,
Yep,
but we
correct.
haven't discussed this to make our recommendation or anything yet, so I just wanna know what the information is.
That's how it's worded right now, is that the 3 million will
Correct.
come right out of.
So I have a question that isn't, it is, but it isn't directly related to this. So I watched your 10-minute blurb and I thank you for that. I think that was a lot of good information. But are there going to be other blurbs out there from fire and police? See,
DPW.
I think that's imperative.
We have made the invitation multiple times to all departments. We've asked all departments to do that. I can't make them, and they have chosen up till now not to participate in that.
I think that's a big mistake, because I think that's what's gonna sell the override.
But they're doing it on Facebook. They're
Yeah,
doing it.
they are very active, and they just haven't created a video. I was the only one foolish enough to do that.
But
Certain
not
people have
everybody's on Facebook. Not
I'm
every-
not.
I'm not, and a lot of the elderly aren't. And I know you're talking to the Council on Aging, but I think we're missing a lot of town residents by having it just on social media, because not everybody has social media.
I understand.
And I know that's not your decision, I get that, but I'm just
Yeah,
throwing that out
we have-
there.
We have certainly encouraged, almost to the point of being a pest. But I have to respect that not everybody feels, I guess, as comfortable making a fool of themselves as I did.
You didn't make a fool of yourself.
Okay.
And refresh my memory, are we having an information session for people to come to somewhere along the lines?
There's been,
We had one last Sunday.
Sunday?
I think there's 5 scheduled,
Okay.
so we've had one.
And are those department heads or departments coming to those?
Everybody is aware of them. There were 4 department heads at the one last Sunday. The school superintendent has committed to the 8th and the 13th. So we're we're getting that information out. I think you'll see public safety and, at all of them. And, the library has been very, available. I mean, I say the library, Carrie has been very available. Others, not so much, but
That's this list.
yes, that is
And are
that.
we supposed to be going to those?
Can't.
We weren't invited.
Oh, it's just,
I don't know that that's the case. I
I do
believe-
know that's the case. The town administrator and the select board invite you to this. We were not invited as the finance committee.
You're
We
invited
as
as a person.
taxpayers can go, but we as a finance committee were not invited.
okay.
All right, Article 5.
Okay, so Article 5.
Bay Path.
And the same thing here, there's nothing in this article that says that about contingent on a 2.5 override, so this is just it.
And this is our requirement.
This
though.
is a required
No, I
minimum
understand
anyway.
that.
So
But-
it doesn't have the discretion in it.
Yeah, but if you don't have the money, sometimes you can't meet that without doing something else, so. Okay,
We have to make this one regardless.
I'm all set with 5. I understand this one, but the only place we can do anything with this in the same vein is the discretionary assessment, but I don't have any questions on 6.
So town council has recommended, or actually has stated that Articles 7 and Article 9, your 2 enterprise funds, you've only been appropriating the expenses, and I guess, and I questioned, where the revenues, so this is the correct MGL format for your enterprises. You'll see in Article 7, I have not completed. We're still working on assigning those revenue. But whatever you spend, you have to be able to demonstrate how you're raising it, for the sake of transparency. So Article 7, still, the amount won't change, but the,
Allocation.
we'll fill in those revenue lines. We're working on that.
So how come all of a sudden town council is finding issues with the way we've done things?
Well, so I asked the same thing. I said, I don't know how, I asked how long this particular council, a couple of years, Roger has been involved. This is the first year, but I can assure you that this is, because I actually had to go back to my previous incarnations, and I've stolen this language directly from past town meeting articles, so that I have the right format. But he's not wrong. It is how we're supposed to do it. The other part of it is that it means that you're establishing indirectly not just how much you can spend, but also how much you can raise, right? So there's certainly a check and balance for the ratepayers with this format, which is, I think, the intention.
So what was your question then?
Why hasn't if we've never done this before, why have all of a sudden is town
we
council
used
saying
to-
we
we-
have to do it this
We
way?
used to do this. I remember this was always on the town warrant this way.
Yeah, I only went back a
I
couple
never
of
saw revenues, I don't remember.
Oh, I'm
revenues.
sorry, maybe not the revenues.
That's
I'm sorry,
the
okay.
expenses side, yeah, we've always done the expenses, but we've never done the revenues.
Right, okay.
Right, and that's the piece that changed. Can we
Okay.
get one clarification while we're on this? Do we adjourn the meeting, or do we dissolve the meeting?
Oh, what? That's at the end. Let's get to the end. Jeez.
Yeah, but let's get that
Ready to
out.
go.
I wanna make sure we know what we're doing on that night.
Article
So
8. I'm sorry.
So does this, under Article 7, indirect costs, the 292,881, and I didn't add these other two up under the revenue sheet, are those, do those two come together correctly? 128,785 and 164,096. It looks to me like, yeah, I guess it does.
I don't have the math in front of me.
I
but-
didn't
Yeah.
add up, but I mean, I'm assuming that that and that are gonna come out correct. Okay, all right.
Okay, the 175, this is phase 2 of your water meter replacement program. Those of you that have the water bill, you've been getting a $25 quarterly fee, which is paying for this. We're about to go out to bid for phase 1. This will pay for phase 2. We thought about waiting and holding off on doing the bid so we could bid phase 1 and phase 2 together. But then I thought that if we contract with a company and we're not crazy about how that install is going, or we realize that in the bidding process that we should have, it doesn't lock us in for
I might
2
have,
phases with one contractor.
Well,
might
last
even
year's
just split the first phase. If I was really not sure, right?
They mashed my, flower bin when they replaced my meter.
Oh, not the water.
No, that when they replaced my water meter,
Oh.
I don't know if they put put their knee on the bin,
Oh,
they didn't move it, or they put a toolbox on it, they did something.
oh. Sorry about that.
So,
When, I'm asking my colleagues to remember for me, we were in the select board room, and I don't remember if it was a joint meeting or if I was attending, so. But the $25 per quarter that the ratepayers is being billed, I remember at one point, was it not, I don't wanna say the word legal, was it either not decided to use the $25 because they're like, well, now they've already collected some of the money, what are they gonna do with that now? So I don't know whether they were walking back from the $25 per quarter, and I meant to try to find the meeting, but I haven't. Or
What was the $25 fee for?
it's supposed to be for the water meter replacements.
This
So it's
is,
supposed to be
this is an ongoing
$400 by
fee
the
that you'll
time
find
you're
on your
Yeah.
water bill. Oh, wait,
Oh, I saw, probably,
But I guess, I mean, $400 was supposed to do the replacement, so what happens when we do, so is it gonna be accounted for correctly? We're like borrowing it from retained earnings ahead of time, is the $25 going into retained earnings to make up for that? Because they're gonna end up
Yes,
paying for it.
Yes, there's an entire,
Okay.
yeah, that's all being tracked. Absolutely.
And I know that
Yeah.
we had also talked in that meeting about trying to find grants for this or a low interest loan so that it
Yeah.
could be all done at once.
Yeah, cause they had like a 0% loan
Correct.
potential.
It
Yes, I
was-
do remember that piece, cause I was at that meeting.
David was here, so
Yep.
it was a while ago now.
Yep.
But
I think he was talking about the Water Abatement Trust.
I don't know what
Yeah.
Ben, what
Yeah.
avenue he was gonna use to do it, but
Because this came up
Okay.
before I went and I found the emails. It's the Water Abatement Trust and it doesn't apply to this project,
and there's no other loan,
no.
like,
I mean, you could, the USDA would offer loans, but at the same time, this project is fairly small for something along the lines of that'd be something that you're doing in the millions. Like if you were gonna completely renovate your wastewater treatment plant or your water treatment plant, USDA loan would be an appropriate size.
so there's a minimum loan that they would give to a town?
It's not that it's a minimum, it's the amount of engineering and work and reporting that goes into it that makes it not, it's not a good fit. I don't, and you would also end up delaying the project by potentially several years because the pipeline of people that are trying to use those funds for things like renovating their wastewater treatment plants would have their projects in front of you.
Thank you, because I remember that
yeah.
was
Yeah,
Those,
yeah.
those never came back up again as far
Yeah,
as
you
I
did
knew,
mention that, I do
so.
remember that.
So, and while you say that made me think of something. So this is $175,000 that we did know, do you remember, or did
Yes,
you
yeah.
read?
Phase 1 was 175, phase 2 is 175.
Okay, so how many meters does the 175 buy? About?
No idea.
Do we have an idea per meter cost?
Well, if it's
I would assume
$400 a
it's
person,
400.
if it's $400 per household,
Well, it's a $25
Quarterly fee.
quarterly fee per user.
over 4 years.
So we're
over
paying for
four.
our own.
Okay, so that's what we're guessing the meter cost is around $400.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And I don't know how many.
No, I know.
Yeah. I
Okay,
can,
no, I'm just curious.
Article not, what? Article
440 maybe meters? Rounding up.
so Article 9 is your stormwater utility. We're gonna treat this the exact same way that we just talked about in Article 7, only since this is a much smaller enterprise with, we were able to work these figures backwards in time for tonight.
Okay, so the salary of 40, that's gonna be paid to existing employees depending on how much time they spend in stormwater.
Well, no, yes and no, and I also think we're looking to offset some of that engineer, that the local engineer that we're looking to hire through water, sewer, stormwater, and DPW. We talked about this a little bit when
Yeah,
Chris
we
was
did,
there,
yeah.
and we got a little bit bogged down about where all the fundings are, but
But that person would be an employee of the towns?
correct.
Okay, a
Right.
part-time person,
Well,
probably.
we would like the position to be full-time, but it would be funded
Partially by this?
partially by stormwater.
Okay,
So this also goes into the conversation about the permitting that with the planning board. So we've got the existing administrator that would be doing some of that permitting is built into that $48,000.
okay.
Yep. And guess what? Those indirects tie out exactly to this document.
Great.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Phew.
operations, the 265, is that purchase services basically? Or are all supplies, I mean, the way the other budget numbers are done, what is included in operations, if you know?
Let me go to stormwater. Do you remember what Chris said when he was in? No. I'm assuming it would be the work that we have to do for stormwater management,
You're
right?
pumping stormwater.
I'm assuming that when we're putting in the culverts and the inlets and the, what do we call them, DIs,
Yep, drop inlets.
Yeah.
So, and then part of this, I remember them saying something, well, they're gonna have to replace some of these on a regular basis because of okay. And that would also include then the catch basin cleaning, I'm assuming also.
Which is out.
Okay.
It looks like purchase services and supplies.
I think that
and
was a lot.
supplies.
That's what I'm
Those are the
saying,
two.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then the indirect costs go back to what we're talking about, that's for the other work. And then the debt is for what?
The
Sweeper.
sweeper lease,
And didn't we vote extra money to pay that?
there it is.
No, I know, but, okay, but that's what
Yeah.
that's for. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I assumed, but I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure. Okay,
Yep. So you'll see that the budget, to balance this budget, we are using $41,000 worth of retained earnings.
okay.
That is built into that model.
And and then the next part of it, it says raised as follows. Rates,
Right.
that's coming on that bill that we get $100 every I think it's twice a year.
Once a year.
Once a year. But again, that's where I'm showing that the rates and the fees, interest on the money that is being invested. And then we're using $41,000 of retained earnings, which offsets some of that sweeper cost.
Well, I said because I think we got one bill in January, we got another one in July, but that just was getting us started, I think,
Yeah,
so.
that's right, 'cause you,
Okay.
yeah. Article 10, we've spent quite a bit of time on PEG, but boy, I love a good PEG conversation, so.
Okay, no, you answered the question.
Okay.
For me, I'm sorry. I'd like to see the budget myself that makes up the numbers that they said there, but
Well, you've got
Because-
you've got it in your packet. We've given you the,
we have,
the RCTV,
we have the line items and
yeah.
like salary though, but I'm asking for what makes up the salary number? I mean, in order to get to those numbers, somebody had to lay out what goes into them.
Right, so we have four and a half personnel that is in that salary line. We have the director, we have the studio manager, and we have 2 camera operators, and we have 1 part-time consultant. That's what's going into that $62,000. The purchase services, the primary part of that is going to be the service agreement that we have signed in order to provide the team with $1,000 worth of service and support for the management of the system. It also includes our Zoom licenses and the closed caption, the internet, those types of charges are in there. Your supplies, there's $9,400 for supplies. And then community TV, other expenses.
That's 15.3.
Yeah. I know that is a specific cost. Shoot. That's not gonna come to me. But
It's okay.
that's a very specific number for a very specific thing.
Okay.
And then the capital outlay, that is money not only for materials, but also for the MOA with the library.
Isn't that 12?
Yeah.
And then the other thing while we're on it, you said it, the other thing we had asked for a couple of times now was there's a policy about what programs or what is table access. We narrowed it down at one meeting saying there's no requirements from the cable
So
contract or
No.
from the state that says you gotta record certain things. You have to record what you think is right. So then we were told there's a policy or a guideline, or whatever the right word is, that the selectmen put together.
yeah, we are working on a policy for,
We were
For-
told there
for
was a
cable
policy
recording.
about what these were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we asked to see a copy of that so that we could look at it.
yeah.
Okay.
The policy doesn't exist. We're in the process of writing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It was a policy. I know it because I remember when it was voted in.
I know, but, and we would.
There was
I'm
a
not saying you,
policy.
I'm saying we
I'm
were
not
told.
aware,
Yeah, there is a policy.
This goes back into like November or so that we were asking that question, okay. That's fine, thank
Because
you.
it was, these will require to be, and there were certain
Right,
committees that were required to be recorded.
so 11, 12, and 13 are boilerplate.
Yep.
14 is boilerplate. You're setting your spending limits. I believe Board of Health asked for an increase, and
Recreation's much higher than it used to be. That was supposed to come back down.
And safe place. Much more than last year.
He's,
Which
yeah,
one are we
50
talking about now?
14. So, recreation is at 400, now, if I remember correctly, in several years past, there was some kind of a limit in the 53 and a half accounts that you could approve, because there was, I remember one year there was a rub on some of the, whatever the expenses were, and then they had to be increased by quite a amount, but I remember the discussion about, is there something in 44, 53 and a half that specifies what the limit is? And if there is, must have been increased? Because 300,000 or 350 sticks in my head from several years ago. I'm not saying you can answer that later, you don't have to look it up now if you don't want to.
While I'm looking that up, snow and ice. That's, like I said, that's the deficit as of today or yesterday.
Okay, so is that accounted for in that free cash number?
No, because I don't know what the number is. So, much of everything beyond this that involves free cash will need to be adjusted based upon that. Now, keeping in mind that 184 is not necessarily what we would take from free cash, right? Because we would look at the May 15th allowance to transfer between
No.
funds.
Right.
Right? And try to absorb as
Yep.
much of that as possible in
Absolutely.
our existing appropriation.
Correct.
And that doesn't include any $35,000 liability for bonuses.
That's a contract that does not come into effect until July 1st.
Till next year, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But worst case scenario, right, at the moment, if all those other accounts got expended down to zero for whatever reasons, this would be a liability that we have to take out of free cash.
As of, that's the number as of today.
No, I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that.
That wouldn't reflect any outstanding invoices that we haven't received and or paid for snow and ice.
Right.
So
Okay.
that number could certainly still go up. But it also would likely go down as a result of being able to do transfers
yeah,
within our
yep.
existing budget.
Okay,
So
all right.
thankfully,
So we're gonna come back to 14 still, right? If you find something there?
yeah.
Okay.
17, this is really placeholders, we're not, matter of fact, I had to go back and reduce that 895 because I took some of the items that were requested for water and sewer. There was like a $9,000 item, there was a $700 item. None of those qualify under your definition of what a capital request is, which is a minimum of $25,000. So if you went back to the retained earnings, not retained earnings, if you go back to the water and sewer budget, I've added the $11,000 of capital there, because that's, I think, a more appropriate location to fund that. We can track it through that existing budget and not have it be a special line or a special line item. So just easier to keep sight of. So my 895 has to be reduced by that. And again, none of these are set in stone. This is recommendations from CIPC, and this is a recommendation. The only items that really, in my opinion, that would qualify for borrowing would be the front end loader and the bidirectional amplifier, because they have a lifespan that would outlast a ban. And at this point, we're obviously recommending that we would do that borrowing within the levy, replacing the debt that's rolling off.
The carpet replacement for the library, is that just downstairs?
I don't know, I'd have to go back and look at Chris's thing.
'Cause I think the upstairs
I know
was
that's
done.
where, I know that's where the problem is in that Rutland.
This one, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think, because
And over here.
upstairs, I think was, well, it shouldn't be replaced in here until that window's fixed, because
mhm.
it's just getting moldy underneath, but,
Mm-hmm.
the upstairs was done because there was a water leak upstairs and wasn't all the carpeting replaced upstairs too? Or at
Something like
least
that.
so-
Some
At
of
least
it
the
was.
children's area,
Yeah, because there was some, problems there. I do remember that too.
but yeah, that's interesting that they prioritized the carpet over.
Over
that
fixing
window.
a structural issue.
I don't know if you've been in this room, Heather, but in spring, when everything,
Mm.
it literally pours in
You
there.
can look at it and see it's in bad shape.
And the water pours in here, so the wall has got to be affected as well as the
Absolutely,
carpet. And I
absolutely.
don't,
There is mold in there without a doubt.
so I
Did,
think this is
did the
futile.
library make both requests and CIPC only recommended the carpet, or?
So they had an exterior rehabilitation item as well. CIPC did not feel capable of rating that request because there was not enough project specifics or estimated costs.
Yeah,
But I
but
think we could at
but when
least
they
choose
say-
this window.
when they say exterior rehabilitation, are they talking landscaping and that kind of stuff? Or is it actual, like,
Yeah.
fixing the building? Because to me, this,
I hope it's not landscaping, because we already had
Oh.
appropriated that money and
Right.
we
They
took it
gave
back.
oh, yeah.
No, okay, anyway.
I have a question on how, to the point where there wasn't enough information or, who's responsible for providing
The department head.
of the, so who does that for town hall? There's a lot of
Me.
department heads,
It would be me.
but you're in the annex. Not town hall.
Well, that's why it's
And I-
it's
and
an
I-
annex to
And I
the
guess
town
if it
hall.
was, I guess, and if it, yeah,
It's all
So,
one
so
spot.
Carrie is responsible for identifying problems with the building and getting quotes. Wow.
so,
She can't spend any money to do it because that would be a capital item. I
so
think it needs to be looked at.
on my very long list, I would really like to address the facilities issue, right? Highway, DPW does a great job of maintaining facilities as under all the other things that they do. However, it is sort of a second thought, right? Because the roads and the culverts and all of that stuff comes first. And so then the facilities, but unfortunately now that does draw in department heads who are, in this case, amazing librarians, but we also ask them to know about windows
contractors.
and understand HVAC and be able to, at the senior center, Nancy's gotta keep an eye on roof leaks and is there an ice dam and it's on them to let facilities know that there's an issue. It is a system that does not work.
Correct.
And I think we talked about this very briefly, that Maya has flagged this as a problem for us. I have put together a 24-month action plan that I have to present to Maya in order for them to keep us on their insured. But that 24-month action plan needs somebody to manage it. And that's where we run into the challenge, right? Do I hand that to DPW and say, make sure this happens in addition to all the other things? Do I draw department heads in and make them responsible for it? Do I do it?
Who was doing the election storage closet?
DPW. Yeah. So it is a flawed system. It needs to be addressed, and because not only is it costing us structural, right, but it's costing us money and it's costing us,
Sure.
yeah.
I would have loved to have had a CIPC discussion in this room.
When it was
Wonder
raining.
why?
Yeah, so unfortunately, they met every Thursday, and I was otherwise
okay, okay.
engaged.
But
Next.
Heather, again, I don't know that that is town administrator's job
No.
to be able to
No, no,
And
no,
I
no.
know I'm just singing to the
saying that
choir, I
I would have
know.
liked to have connected with CIPC far more than I was able to this year. I wasn't able to attend any of their meetings, so I don't even know who, besides Dan, who any of the members are. So there's a lot that I'd like to be able to have input into and have conversations with. And May 12th, it all is gonna be better.
Does the building, because we're all gonna be drunk. Does the building inspector get involved in any of this stuff?
Yes,
Should that be
yeah,
something that
yeah.
is, it seems,
So the building inspector does get involved. He's got 4 municipally projects on his desk right now, including the ADA earmark at the community center, senior center for the facilities, getting that project spec'd out so we can get that work done before June 30th. We have a couple of tax title properties that he's very heavily involved in. There's a project at the annex that he has that he is overseeing, so yes, he does.
I guess more, maybe a more pointed question is, the building inspector is responsible for going to businesses throughout the town annually to do some sort of high-level
Inspection.
inspection. Does he do that to the,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
buildings.
we absolutely have to have our buildings inspected and rated. And if one of our exit lights doesn't work or whatever, we will certainly get flagged for that, and our inspection would be held up until we fix that.
Yeah, but that's more fire inspection, isn't it?
Well, that's part
No,
of it.
but building definitely goes through and does,
I just don't.
But the
Well, I think we should put a big piece of paper over here. Look here.
yeah.
But the insurance company has a guy that
Yellow
comes
tape.
around too.
Collection.
Okay.
Don't step near it because it's gonna fall in.
Okay,
So Article 17 is, we'll just say that it's there, and we'll come back to it as we move through the rest of the budget process.
Article 14.
No,
you were looking-
Article 17,
Oh, you will look at, oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
17.
I haven't made much progress on that.
No, that's all right, okay. I just didn't want to let you forget.
Yeah. Article 18,
18.
this is some clawback from the special
Yeah,
article.
this is good.
Okay, so I have several questions here, though. The community center parking lot, is that, there was appropriation for that, and this is left over, or is that the whole appropriation?
No, they did some, I believe there were some millings that were purchased and put down there. That parking lot needs work, for sure, but it needs more work than $13,000, right? So we know that any significant improvement to that parking lot will require a new appropriation.
Didn't they fix that
Okay.
parking lot when they messed up on 56?
So
They did. the
there's
town
no
hall
part
parking.
of that lot
Not
that
community
could
center.
take a chunk and do something, while this money's appropriate. I understand what you're saying, to do the whole thing, you're gonna need a lot more money, but there is no,
On a Saturday, when there's stuff going on in the soccer fields, and if there's anything going on at the town, at the Council on Aging,
There's no parking.
there's no parking, and that parking in that Millings area is sketchy at best.
in the one when you go through the back part.
Yeah, that's,
all
yeah,
right, okay.
it's sketchy at
All right,
best.
but so obviously you looked at this, or somebody looked at this and said, we really can't use this, we're gonna send it back to free cash and, or capital stabilization and,
So
okay.
I think that the benefit of putting all of these tailings back into capital stabilization is that it makes it available for future capital
yeah,
projects,
yeah.
you know? So instead of it going to free cash, we know that these were intended for capital projects. Let's keep the money available for capital.
Okay, so the senior center feasibility study,
Study was done and paid for, just not from that account.
well, I know, but this has been bouncing around for 2 or 3 years now, so that's why I'm asking. So this is definitely now, you decided we not gonna, it's going back.
No, the study was done.
Well, yeah, different, okay, yes.
So
No,
A study.
a study was done,
study.
not the study, a
Right.
study.
Okay,
One that was
preliminary
shared from
study.
someone
so
else's?
the plotter for the
This is the
town
one
hall,
that
Yes,
remember.
it was told. That's what Nancy was told.
obviously somebody came to us and said, we gotta have
That's
that,
the
so
one where
what
they said it
happened
needs to be
here?
like this
Do
big
you know
and
if
no
you know?
kitchen.
They purchased it, $568 is left over from
Oh,
the
it left over
appropriation.
money, okay, all right. And what about signs for, what's the next one?
Signs for Wachusett Street, we have an email from Chris that that project has been completed and that that $11,450 is available. He doesn't have any intentions of spending that.
All right, so
I'm not gonna say.
the way I understand it is if somebody has an article appropriated and they use the money for what the intent of that article was, when they're done with the project and they determine that there's leftover money that they don't need, is all they're supposed to do is send a letter to the accountant or the treasurer, I'm not sure which it is, and then that money gets turned back in.
No, it has to be a town meeting appropriation.
But they
Okay,
could at least give a heads up that they're done with it.
okay. I'm just saying that these numbers some of these numbers been going on for a number of years now.
Yeah,
That's
so
okay.
so you'll see that they go back to 2015.
Correct.
So, yes, you're absolutely right, the
Clean up on aisle 5.
clean up
Okay.
on aisle 5.
That's fine.
Yeah, and the only way to dissolve those accounts, Tommy, is with a town meeting vote, because they were a town meeting appropriation.
No, I understand.
Yeah, okay,
There's special articles.
right. I just wanted to clarify that a letter to the accountant unfortunately doesn't,
Well, I'm not
It
sure if
doesn't
it's,
dissolve it, but it lets her know or him know that this money is done now, so we could put it towards.
I'm not sure if it's the accountant that I'm saying it right or the treasurer. Maybe it has to go to the selectmen and then it could do that, but,
okay.
okay.
There should be
Pool house sewer line, that's
conversations.
left
It's
over,
more like a
right?
heads up.
Yeah,
And the
they are done.
chimneys, I know
Oh, that was a shit show.
at the Woodhouse, that number was on the high side when we voted that, and we were told that by, I think it was, Joe Butler, right? Yes.
Buckley.
So this is left over. They did everything they're supposed to do on that
They didn't have,
chimneys.
they didn't have to do it, because remember, they said it was gonna be bad when they thought it was all gonna cave in when they were, when
Right,
they were gonna do the roof, and when they got up there, it really wasn't as bad as they thought.
but they had to bring it down some to get underneath the roof line.
So
We did, okay, so this
whatever
is,
the work was.
Left
yeah.
over.
it's done, it's left over, so that's what that is, okay.
Take it and say thank you.
And what happened with the pool house doors? That was something over there, they were all beat up, so this is left over also, okay?
Yeah.
All right,
So for a grand total of $78,094.52, we'll put that into capital stabilization, which might take some of the sting out of how much I'd
Yep.
like to spend from it in the previous article. And then the last two were funded through water and sewer retained earnings, so those have to go back to water and sewer.
okay, yep, that's good.
That's a
Did they
good,
do the algae bloom study?
they did what they found that they didn't have to, yes, they did the study, but they found that there was no algae so there was no bloom to resolve. You want the email from,
Nope.
okay,
It's just good to know whether it's
Yeah.
being,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
it's coming back because it's not enough money or it's coming back because it was done. That's all.
yeah.
And so that's it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
the end of it.
This is,
19 now, right?
Yeah,
19, yeah.
19. This is a lease purchase agreement for a command vehicle for the deputy chief. The funding source is I've looked this up 6 times. I'm gonna actually put the full,
It's the
Holden Hospital.
Holden Hospital
Yeah,
Trust Fund is
yeah.
correct.
So the
MCC, I can't remember what those,
Mass Central.
Isn't it Mass Central Community something?
Yeah.
yeah, something like, but it's the Holden Hospital
Hold on,
Trust
hold on
Fund.
there.
Yeah, it was something, because, we
Yeah.
got,
But I get,
Yeah.
at some point in time, probably maybe after, we just talked about doing some stuff after town meeting. I personally would like to see, and if the committee would agree with that, to see what the vehicles that we have and where they're assigned. Because it just seems over the last number of years, every time we buy another vehicle, the older one that we're told it can't be used for this or that, it just gets passed on and all of a sudden, boom, now it's working pretty good. Do we need all these vehicles? Do we have to have all this stuff?
Great over at
Who-
water and
who's
sewer,
gonna
but not
use
over here.
The new pickup truck with the plow on it.
Yep. We just bought a new one of those,
I
right?
know, it was really pretty, it was in my
Right,
office.
and didn't we
in
give
my
the old
shop.
one to water and sewer, because it was fine for water and sewer, but not good enough for the fire department, right?
Not good enough for, I thought it was not good enough for plowing and then went to water and sewer because they can use it for utility use.
I thought they were using it for plowing.
Well, I'd like to see a layout of, not right now, I'd like to see
So,
that shows all these vehicles.
A fleet schedule, I believe is what they
Yes.
call that.
Whatever.
And I can-
schedule, fleet
and I will
plan.
I can produce that through our insurance company.
But my only other comment I want to make is, we always used to have an article like this, and it said what to do with the old vehicle in the articles.
So in the, okay, so some information is better for the explanation. And I think that as
No, I did-
opposed, the article should identify funding source, amount, and purpose.
It would be for non-emergency related department use, such as inspections. A pool car, I think is what you call it in municipals,
Right.
a pool car.
But if that person's going on an inspection and they're working, and then they get a call, they've got to go on an emergency call with it. In this particular explanation.
But they wouldn't be, that wouldn't be you wouldn't be looking for that to be the deputy fire chief in that case, right? 'Cause that
Well,
would
no,
be
the
somebody
deputy
else
fire
doing the
chief,
inspection.
absolutely, he does respond to calls.
No, but he wouldn't be
the
driving that
inspector-
vehicle
right,
is what I'm
right,
saying.
Well, the
right.
deputy chief
Because-
wouldn't, but it says here, other things here, it says related department use, such as whatever the
I
fire
think
department
you-
does, I
I
hope
think
these
you should
people go to
stop
the
by
call.
and talk to Seth about this. Go
I'm gonna
on.
be honest with you, Tommy, I agree with you, and I don't like to say that very often, but I agree,
I-
it
you
should be
never
up
like
in
to
the
say
part
that.
of the article, because then it
Okay.
forces
Let's
the town to
keep
do
going.
what
I
they
don't wanna
said to do
belabor
with
it,
it.
but-
20.
So this is a request from RDIC for $25,000. I know that the select board talked about offering an alternative article that repurposes the existing $11,900 that they have left from their original appropriation from the sale of the property. There was an appropriation in 2019 for about $35,000. They've got pretty close to 12,000 left in that, but the scope of that appropriation is minimal. So there's discussion about whether or not,
Wasn't that for the RFP?
huh?
Wasn't that for the RFP?
Yeah, for the engineering and the RFP. But I think an article that reappropriates that money and expands the scope so that they can use, because if that project, kind of like the other special articles that we were just talking about, if the purpose of that appropriation
Is over.
is complete and the money, they can't use it because town meeting said this is what it was for, then we should try to think about how we want to reappropriate that.
Especially this year.
There'll be more engineering done on that property, hopefully. Hopefully, an RFP.
don't
We
know.
have,
I
we
don't-
have more to sell.
I don't think this is the year to
I am with you
to
hundred and
do
ten
that for
percent.
Article 20.
Yep.
So I think that this would be, but if we reappropriated that $12,000 so that they had money to do some of this work with, I think it's a good
It's already
compromise.
earmarked, yeah.
So I think that this article may go through some,
Have they told us who's going to be doing that work?
I don't know anything, yeah, I'm
Yes,
assuming,
is the.
it would
is
have to go
the-
through procurement, they'd have to get three quotes.
Wouldn't you do one bid before you put it on here?
You'd have to get three
I
quotes.
would think.
Yeah.
At least you get something so that you know it's not just a pie in the sky.
25 sounds like winging it.
It's winging it, but sometimes, doesn't it say now you really, You can't ask for, no, you can ask for the money. Well, I'm thinking
You
of
can
something
ask,
else.
but
No, no,
it's
I don't.
just like,
I don't think you
big-
can, I
big-
don't think
big
you can
request,
ask
right?
people to put together proposals or bids without knowing there's money there to be do something with, because you
you
don't
can't
want to
issue-
wasting their time.
You can't issue the bid without an appropriation.
But you can ask for a budgetary number.
You
from
could
us.
ask for an estimate or
Yeah,
something, somebody,
an estimate,
correct.
So in Article 21, the number in the article is wrong. I copied and pasted, I'm just noticing that typo now. So far, the only bill that we know that is a prior fiscal is the 4152 from KP. So it doesn't, it says $1,207, but at this point, it's 41.
I know that's not a lot of money, but why?
They sent the invoice to us and said that whenever we paid the bill, we somehow missed $41.
this
So-
was right at the transition when, Pryor left.
I thought we fixed all, I thought we
Yeah,
found all.
but didn't we
So,
did we look to see that, like, somebody forgot, like, the
So-
administrative?
yes, that's exactly what it
Okay.
is. It's that, you know, on the second page where they say, here's the money that we spent that wasn't attached to a specific project.
So
and-
what it is they just caught this number, not
Not
the
the-
administrative down at the
Oh,
bottom, that's what that
we've
is.
all done it.
Right, exactly, so that makes more sense, it's not like it's,
It was a clerical error.
it's an oops.
Yeah, it was a clerical
Yep.
error.
And they happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
they do.
Not an issue.
And I'll take 41 over,
Amen.
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even asking anybody if they have prior fiscals.
I
As far as I'm
would,
concerned,
I
I do
would,
not care.
I would change this explanation and say it's not due to the timing of the receipt of the bills. It
Yeah.
was a clerical error made, and I think that would make it much easier.
Yep, I can certainly do that.
Can I jump up to 20
Yeah.
again for a second? I was curious and personal again, so RDIC wants to beautify the property for Rutland residents and potential buyers to view. What was their vision for how the residents of the town would use that?
Walk around the
Yeah,
pond.
Or is it
if-
just to
if
look
they-
at? We
If
can
they go
appreciate
up
the
there and
look of it.
walk around or do anything up there, they can do that. But you can't do it
But
when
are
it's,
we allowed to?
sure.
Yeah, we had the bonfire up there one year, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think so.
If it's still town property.
And there's some places you can still get around there, but there's some places that
And I
the crap's grown up pretty good.
I thought that was you, or somebody might have said that a developer, somebody looking commercially can see past all that.
Oh,
And you can take
it
the
wasn't-
credit, but
I would think so.
They probably
you know,
can.
they just, they see the
if
woods
there's-
and they
if-
see what can be there and
yeah,
spending
Vision.
money to
Yeah.
make money is.
so far they've done,
So I think that the rest of these are not budget items. We're happy to talk about any of them, but none of them are.
No, that's now we're, the last one is the charter one, and so I have a question about the charter one, and we can talk about it because charter's on the, agenda.
Okay, yeah.
So it says here that this is the first step and the charter would go to the state for approval and then it would be put to a vote. And there are no edits in all of those steps, or will it go? Presumably it would have some comments come back from, potentially from the state legislature.
It came back once, though. What were the edits? Or was it KP that?
You got
KP,
KP, this is, so is, if approved by town meeting, the charter will be sent to state legislature for adoption, okay. While not required by the adoption of the charter will be placed before the voters at an election. Okay, so it really is a done deal now. Assuming this article passes. Is there any opportunity?
I
to-
don't
That's what I'm
wanna,
asking.
I don't wanna answer that question. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I think you better take down that question, because that question's gonna come up when we have our meeting to discuss these, because,
There are people that have been more involved in the process than I am that will be perfectly capable of
Okay,
answering
all
that
right,
question.
we can
I
save
know
it for
we had a
Monday.
special town, we had, what, 3 informational sessions for the bylaws, which have been changed 6 months after we approved them. And we've had 1 public information
Yeah.
session on this.
you know, there's gonna be, you know,
months and months.
we will hopefully have
Almost a year.
sorry, please.
No,
It was June 11th of last year.
We will make a recommendation on this potentially, right?
We're
So,
gonna make a recommendation on every one of these articles.
right, I know.
That's the
So-
bylaw.
So I think that's the question, right? Do we feel comfortable with it or not? And
I guess then I do wanna make
Is it
a
posted?
correction on the explanation is my understanding, I won't make a correction, my understanding is that the first time review is 5 years and then it's 10 years. So it's not every 5 to 10 years, it's, the first one is 5 years and after that is 10 years, so that to me is a big deal, cause
well, if it's 5 or 10 years, right? I think this is not mature enough to last that long.
and I think it's gonna be a very long discussion on a very long meeting.
Yeah.
And our recommendation, I think,
If
informally
you,
was to
if you
not-
get a chance, I know that everybody's time is very precious, but to watch last night's charter review committee meeting, I think it will identify exactly where everybody is with this. They have another meeting that they have just scheduled for the 16th, Thursday, the 16th at 6:30 PM.
It's amazing how they plan them on Thursdays.
Yeah,
So-
we can't go on Thursdays.
But I'm just saying that the meeting last night, they discussed the KP changes and talked a little bit about options for, what was the, implement for a special town meeting so that, because I guess one of town council's concerns, and it's certainly one of my concerns, is that at the end of a very long, potentially very emotional meeting, are we positioning the charter for success? You know,
Or we could, or vice versa, it could be just like, okay, I just wanna get out of here, so I'll vote for anything.
yeah, right, and I
Why are
guess-
you laughing?
You're right,
only
it
a
could go
yes
either
button
way.
on
Is there any discussion? And it's just like, well, no, how's that?
No, I wanna go home.
Yeah. So I think that you all took a special town meeting to look at your bylaws, I think this should maybe have the same consideration. But I know that some people feel that special town meetings feel like you're trying to not include everybody either, so there's two sides to that story. But
We can do it next fall.
huh?
We can do it next fall.
There's several sides to that. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the
So-
participation is best,
Yeah,
but then,
yes.
like, also the process has been the
Yeah.
best, so.
So
there's that.
there's a lot of information that came out in last night's meeting.
Awesome, I
So-
will be sure to check that on a plane at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I
And
will.
is there a more updated draft, or is the one from a couple of weeks ago the most updated for the charter?
I don't know if the,
Good luck. Oh, she did it. It didn't come undone from the middle.
I don't know, I don't think so.
Okay.
Is it posted on the website?
Yes, because that's how we were soliciting comments from
But the
people.
revision.
Any revisions are
Oh,
updated?
the revisions from KP, I don't know that because they haven't been accepted by the charter committee, right? The KP, and they only made it through, Article 5 or Chapter 5, of it, because there's some, they cut into some substantive changes.
So then isn't it pushing, if there's substantial changes, isn't that pushing it to bring it to town meeting?
It depends on whether or not the charter committee acknowledges and wants to adopt those potential changes, right? It's their document. They worked with an attorney and a professional consultant to create the document that they have in front of them. And it would be their prerogative to say, we like some of KP's suggestions, give us more. throughout the rest of the document, or thank you, we're all set, we're comfortable with the document that we have. And that is just, that's, I think there's a lot of pride and a lot of autonomy that they feel about that document. And so I think that comes across very, very, very clearly that they worked for 15 months on this, and I don't think that there's a
In a vacuum with no input.
It's no
well, all
doubt.
of the meetings were public.
So it's no doubt. They put
The
a lot of
meetings are
work into it.
public, but they don't let you speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the meetings were public too, but they should have been to the different departments or different areas where the bylaws and the town has been run. I'm not saying, I'm just making my own statement, number
same
one.
here. Yeah,
And number
absolutely.
two is, I cannot imagine the town paying town council to review a document.
We're not paying. They're doing it gratis.
Well, it's still town council giving you a recommendation and not even and saying, no, we don't want to do that. That's beyond me.
Well,
That's what you
They
have
would
town
reject.
council for.
so
That they would
the
reject
town
his
council,
recommendations.
town
Right.
council will be at that meeting on the 16th. They offered to come and the charter committee has asked that we make
I
that.
believe the 16th is when we're reviewing.
Well, we can ask them to come into our meeting also. That's what we're supposed to do as the finance committee. It's in our bylaw.
Yep, I agree
So
with
we
you.
can ask them to come into our meeting and explain what's going on. I know we skipped over those two articles, but our bylaw says, and it's always said, and it only makes sense. Every article on the warrant is supposed to be reviewed by the finance committee, number one. And number two, whether there's no dollars and cents attached to the article, every article has or could have financial implications at some point for the town. And that's why it's supposed to be reviewed by the finance committee, as I'm sure you well know, but
No,
just-
I guess I'm just selfishly wanting to go home now.
no, that's okay. I do too, but
Yeah,
I'm just
we can
saying.
talk about floodplain and the ADA commission article at the next meeting.
Can we have the floodplain bylaw sent to us? So
Sure.
we can read through it,
Yep.
please?
Yep, absolutely.
Just make it a little bit easier.
Anyone have anything else?
Do we have a meeting next week?
We should have a meeting
Monday
next week.
joint on Zoom.
No, that's Zoom, but
Next week
next
you
Thursday.
the whatever day that is. We have 2 meetings next week.
Okay, so we do have one set up.
The
for
9th,
next
I
week.
think, April 9th.
Yeah, which would make sense.
There's a,
Tamika's on. Tamika, is it the 9th?
And whoever posts the meeting, we need to make sure that all the topics that we've talked about that relate anyway, in any fashion to the
If
budget.
we could talk about it, it should be on there.
That's correct.
You don't
So if
have
you
to
have the-
do that.
Charter.
I think so.
Bylaw.
So
I
the
believe
I
what
might-
that
exists,
covers
right?
us,
I
but
think
I understand what you're saying.
I'm Zoom next week. If you want me at the meeting, which I presume you do, I have to be Zoom. So,
Who do we send requests for agenda items to?
Darren.
Darren. Okay, so that's the path to make sure we don't miss something.
Correct.
So we want bylaws, charter, warrant, articles.
Budget.
All of them. Well, then it's okay.
If you want
right?
to know,
Then it's completely
revenues.
okay.
And budget, and that
That's
covers us, right?
Yeah,
I can send
exactly.
you an email.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And that way we're clear.
Okay.
That should be consistent for Mondays and Thursdays.
Well, Monday's a special,
Mondays
just,
with the select board,
Yeah, I know, they have an agenda, and if we wanna,
and it's by Zoom,
too
so we
late.
could do it.
it's too
Oh,
late.
I know, it's too late.
I agree. If we're putting,
48 hours.
Business.
Business hours.
Business hours. And they're not open tomorrow.
Okay, all right,
Are we ready?
yes,
Motion to adjourn?
second. Oh, no, you
No, I
can't
can't.
motion. Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Heather.